This is Baxter Colburn, host of the Verse of the Day podcast. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Hey, it's Baxter Colburn here from Public House Media. Did you know that we just added a store here at Public House Media? No, I'm not talking about a grocery store where you can go buy apples or bananas or peanut butter, which are all fantastic, especially when peanut butter's on all of those. Anyway, we've added a store here at Public House Media so you can not only come and represent your favorite podcast network, but also represent your favorite shows as well, too. Just go over to thephmedia.com and look in the top right corner where you'll see the button that says Store. Click on that and you can search through all of our great products. Or if you go to our Facebook page, Public House Media, you can see on the left-hand side a tab that says Store. All of our products are listed there as well too. It's the new Public House Media store. You don't want to miss it. It is fantastic. Buy some of that great swag to support your favorite shows and to support Public House Media. Check it out today.
This is Rachel Mullins, host of #NoFilterFriday here on Public House Media. Thanks for listening to the following broadcast on Public House Media. Once you're done with this episode, I hope you'll come check out my new show, #NoFilterFriday, where we talk about all of the sexual misconduct allegations swirling around Hollywood. A new show drops every Friday at 8:30 Pacific Standard Time. Don't forget to subscribe on iTunes so you'll never miss an episode of #NoFilterFriday. Thanks again for checking out the following broadcast on Public House Media.
Welcome to Beauties and Headcanons, where we're nerdy and you probably are too. This is Emily and I'm here today with Lindsay, and we're here to talk nerdy to you. So today's episode is all about an idea that I've been tossing around for a couple of months now, and I'm really excited to finally be actually doing it. We, the hosts of Beauties and Headcanons, will be starting a monthly segment as part of our show called What's New in Nerd News. So once a month, the end of the month, we will have a small segment of our show that will discuss some hot topics in the nerd geek fandom world, so we can all get up to speed on all the things, because we know that in our fandom stuff happens so fast. And we just need to keep track of it somehow. So, being a nerd, we can be super busy, and hopefully our nerd news segment once a month will keep you up to speed on things. Without further ado, here's our inaugural episode that will bring us up to speed for the month of May and a little bit of June. So you can expect the next episode that will have nerd news in it will be the last episode of June, and then I'll have a little segment that will have nerd news in it. It won't be the whole episode in the end of June. It will just be a portion of the episode. But this whole episode is going to be all about nerd news. So that's what we've got going on today. So our first segment of the episode is nerdy news topics. So, and there'll be other segments throughout. And the first segment of nerd news that we have is cloaking devices. Yes, you heard that. Cloaking devices are now apparently a real thing. In Penn State University, they have been researching and figured out how to make a cloaking device. The researchers created an underwater ground cloak capable of redirecting sound waves so that objects appear concealed. And it uses metamaterial that holds properties that aren't found in nature. Crazy. It makes sound waves bend around the object as if it wasn't there. So they tested things underwater. So apparently this works underwater pretty much. But with further research, I'm pretty sure it'll be really big. They described it. One of the professors at California, San Diego, described it as potentially leading to the creation of an invisibility cloak. So it's kind of a big deal.
See, and it's funny because I was trying to figure out if this is the kind of tech that they used in Star Trek or in Star Wars, or
right.
Was it?
I don't know. It's so the article that I'm looking at from USA Today describes it as the Star Trek tech, and the only species in Star Trek, there's two that use cloaking devices, and that's the Romulans and the Klingons, I believe. Klingons had it first, I think, and then the Romulans were able to figure it out as well later on. So only two races actually use cloaking devices in Star Trek that I know of. But in Star Wars, it's a lot more prominent, I believe. But then there's also cloaking devices that were used prominently in like Stargate and Stargate Atlantis, especially Stargate
Mm-hmm.
Atlantis, though. Um, but what we do know, at least from our sci-fi shows, is that cloaking devices cannot be used until you are, or while you are traveling at light speed, which we haven't figured out how to do yet. So,
Right.
so we're okay. We'll still be able to use these cloaking devices once they figure out how to use them in the air. And then they'll have to
Right.
figure out how to use them in space. So far we've just got them underwater. But it's kind of cool, like really exciting.
Well, then I feel like also, wasn't there some kind of cloaking tech with Firefly? Didn't the Reavers have some kind of
Uh,
invisibility
I don't remember
factor?
100%. They might
Okay.
have. Um, well, I know that they were able to like hide from ships. Just the Firefly class ship is such a small ship that they were able to hide in a nook
Okay.
behind another ship, and
Wow.
then they just completely turned off all systems as except for life support, and then the only thing that was visible was the heat signature. But I'm really not sure. I don't remember.
And
Actually,
then
now
we're
I need to
talking
watch
about,
all of.
invisibility cloaks even come into play with something as rudimentary and non-nerdy as Alien versus Predator, or I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure the Predators had some kind of advanced tech as well, where they were able to be invisible too. So I
yeah.
feel
Well, and
like
I would
that's
even still consider that a slight sci-fi
right.
leaning topic or area as well. So I don't know, but it's like the sci-fi imagination tech is starting to be a real thing, which is super
Yeah.
cool.
Hmm.
On a less exciting note, we we've lost a an iconic actress, Margot Kidder. She passed away, looks like on Monday, May 14th, so just this week. And she was most known for playing Lois Lane in the Superman film. She was in the 1987 film Superman, in the original film as well as three sequels. And she starred opposite Christopher Reeves, who passed away in the early 2000s, I believe. Yeah, he died in 2004 of complications from an infection, but he also was
Hmm.
quadriplegic after a horse riding accident as well, which I remember my mom describing to me when I was younger. And she was telling me how he was Superman, but he fell off a
Hmm.
horse and so now he can't walk anymore. I'm like, wait, but he was Superman, so what's the deal with that?
Right.
And then like she had to explain that he was just the actor, he wasn't actually
Right.
Superman.
And I
But so
remember all that
Margot
happening
Kidder,
too.
you do?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little older than you,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I
I
suppose
think
so.
I'm looking at these videos of Margot Kidder actually, and she is who I remember as Lois Lane. I don't remember
Yeah,
anyone else. So
I don't
I
remember anybody else
definitely,
either.
hmm
Yeah, so yeah, she passed away 69 years old, apparently peacefully in her sleep. So no signs of like foul play or weird drug issues or
okay.
anything. So thankfully that wasn't an issue, but um yes, we mourn the passing of a wonderful actress. Rest in peace, Margot Kidder. So next on the docket here, we have several nerdy shows, or at least fandom shows, we should say, that are being canceled um, at the end of this season. So this will be the last season of a lot of these shows. Um, so Lucifer and The Exorcist from Fox are getting canceled. Both of those shows. I watched a USA Today video confirming that Lucifer, The Exorcist, also in that same video, Brooklyn Nine-Nine was mentioned as being canceled, but it was saved and picked up by NBC. Typical of Fox, they want to get rid of some good things here, and apparently Brooklyn Nine-Nine was good enough for NBC to pick back up again. So that's awesome. And then also The Expanse is getting canceled after its third season by Sci-Fi. I haven't seen any of these shows to be honest, but I just thought it would be important to mention these nerdy or fandom related shows that are getting canceled or Brooklyn Nine-Nine getting picked back up again. So that's what we've got getting canceled, although Lindsay has some info on some other things as well.
Oh, there's a supernatural spinoff, Wayward Sisters, is not being continued with the CW. But there is a petition out right now looking with 48,000 signatures, including some of the cast trying to get it picked up.
Wow.
So hopefully that will get picked up by somebody.
Yeah.
And I know all of our Supernatural fans will be rooting for that as well. And it sounds like it was just like you, I haven't really seen this show. I don't watch a whole lot of television, but it sounds like it's centered around a pretty scrappy female cast. So,
Cool.
we do have a lot of female empowerment in the media lately, but
Yeah,
it's always good
definitely.
to have more.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then,
And you said there's a petition. Do we know how many signatures on there or how many they're looking to get in order for it to get picked up?
you know what? No, I didn't see that in the article.
Okay.
I think 48,000 is a pretty substantial number, but I don't even know how many
Oh, that's how
viewers
many
they
they have
actually
now?
had. That's how
Okay.
many are there right now, 48,000.
Okay. Gotcha.
So, yeah, I don't know how many they need or who they're looking for to pick it up. I just know the CW is not going to continue.
Okay.
And hopefully someone else will.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is like the second attempt for a Supernatural spinoff.
Okay.
Because the CW also passed on another show back in 2014.
I
That
seem
didn't.
to remember that actually.
Yeah.
Vaguely.
Yeah. So we still love Supernatural, absolutely. But, some of us love Supernatural. But I guess the spinoffs just aren't doing as well as
I don't know.
the original show. And I have to admit that kind of happens sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah,
I feel
it does.
like, even with Doctor Who and Torchwood, I know
Yeah.
people who just loved Captain Jack, but I haven't watched one full episode of Torchwood yet.
Neither have I. Neither have I.
And we
don't
did
know.
talk about how there's so much to keep up on. I am so behind in all of
Yeah.
my fandoms and all of the shows that I like to watch that I would really need like a vacation just to sit down in front of the television and watch these things.
Yeah, seriously.
So I feel like, even between the spin-offs and the different things that I could be watching, I don't know how I would ever fit enough time for all the things that I would love to be able to keep up on.
Yeah, or even anything that's new. Like, I get excited when a show has its last episode at this point because I'm like, oh, good, I can finally actually catch up for real now. Oh, good.
Well, and speaking of last episodes, there have been a few recently. Once Upon a Time just found out that they're not going to be picking up on an 8th season. So
right.
I just started watching that with my daughter, sometime in the past 6 months or so. And there's a lot of really cool, meaty storyline in the first couple seasons.
Yes,
And
there
I'm
is.
really going towards, finishing it up, but it's nice that there's an end in sight. I hate to say that.
I know.
You never want a show that you love to be ending, but, they went for 7 seasons. And I really don't know how much more fairy tale, plot line there could have been,
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean because I watched through, I think, season 4, and at that
Okay.
point, the storyline started to get so muddled and confusing and complicated that I'm like, I don't know how they're going to pull this off.
Right.
And they always
right.
had to come up with a reason for there to be another curse, or the curse still hadn't been broken, or something like that. And so I'm actually kind of glad because it might actually encourage me to finish it.
Right, because then you'll see where it goes in the end. Yeah.
Right.
And I have the same kind of I've had the same kind of feedback on Supernatural as well and a couple other shows. So I feel like having an end in sight makes it even more enjoyable because you know that there's somewhere there that it's going to end, that it's going
Right.
to finish up for you.
It won't be this like losing battle of trying to catch up and you just never get there and everything's
never
always
catching up.
spoiled for you, Yeah.
Exactly. There's always something that you have to avoid on social media or avoid
Right.
looking at in
Yep.
this tabloid, or not that I read a lot of tabloids, but like if that
I
was
know
a
what
thing
you
that
mean.
you did.
Like you can't watch this channel yet because the next episode's like teaser is going to be up and you can't watch the teaser yet because you haven't seen the previous episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I gotcha.
It's probably why I avoid regular television anyway, because I don't want
Yeah.
anything to be spoiled for me. Unlike our co-host Elizabeth, who loves spoilers,
Yeah,
I,
like to
I
be
feel
honest,
like I.
I kind of like spoilers too, to be honest, but like it's not that I seek them out. It sounds like Elizabeth
Right.
seeks them out, which is props to her. Like that's great.
Also, well, so spoiler alert then. We have been watching Big Bang Theory for a while now, and if you have not seen the final few episodes, seasons stuff that's been going on, I know and have known for a long time that Amy and Sheldon were getting married, and I guess they finally had their wedding. Now I am so behind. I think the last episode I watched, they were like having a domestic dispute kind of thing about something. I swear they were nowhere near getting married last episode I watched. So it's been a while, and I know I'm super behind, just like I'm behind in everything. But apparently it's an amazing thing that they got married, and it happened recently. But also the actress who plays Amy, Mayim Bialik, we might have known her as Blossom when we were growing up. She came out with a new book. Last year, she came out with a book called Girling Up, which was about how to be, I think the tagline is how to be strong, smart, and spectacular. And it's a book about using her, because she's actually a trained neuroscientist. She uses the background that she has in neuroscience to kind of talk about explaining growing up socially and psychologically and biologically. So it got personal anecdotes and science and wisdom in it. It's super nerdy, and it's already in my Amazon cart to read, but she just came out with Boying Up. So she is raising two boys, and that one, Boying Up, is how to be brave, bold, and brilliant. And so she talks about the things that we really, that in her opinion, we really need to be teaching our children, our boys, on how to be men, and how to the changes that their bodies are doing as well. So it's got some interesting drawings and discussions about neurologically and biophysically what's happening to their bodies and how to understand that, and to be okay with it, to understand that these are natural things that happen. So that was really cool to find out. That literally just came out, and Girling Up came out about a year ago. So it took her a year to write it and get it published. But
That's
those
pretty
are
cool.
two really cool things. Yeah, it's really cool to see like your idols writing these books, and to be so just amazing. Like I really look up to her. I think she's just the coolest.
That is
So
super cool.
for all of
I
these things to be happening in her life and stuff, and for that to also be something is just really cool.
Yeah, well, and I just love that she did both genders. She didn't just say girling up and that's the only thing. Like she did boying up too. So like she
Right.
has the balance of it. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, exactly. So that happened with Big Bang Theory, and then we've also got I don't know how many people watch Westworld. That's an HBO sci-fi show that's got a lot of like artificial intelligence and neat prospects, kind of good and evil. And I don't want to give any spoilers, and I'll admit I've only watched a few episodes because I might have ruined it for myself by trying to predict how the end of the first season went. But I know some people who love it and who are super excited. April 22nd, it started up again. And there's a lot of amazing actors in it, and some really cool, just the concepts of artificial intelligence and where we're going and what we can do as people, and whether we are able to create people who are more people-y than we are.
Interesting. Yeah, that does sound like an interesting one. You said that's on HBO?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So those HBO people out there might be something to check out, unless you already have checked it out. Very cool.
So I've just got a few more things. Let's see. We have a lot of fandoms that don't ever want to really disappear from us. We know that Fantastic Beasts is coming out later this year, but there have been a couple of apps that recently popped up in my radar. I have a friend who actually showed me the icons on her phone, and I felt super stupid because she showed them to me and she called herself a dork or something, and I was like, yeah, sure, okay, whatever you're talking about. And then it came up in conversation again, and I was like, okay, I think I need to look into this. So there's two that I've recently started playing around with. It's the Harry Potter Hogwarts Mystery.
Yes,
Now,
yes.
I'll be fair. I'm only a little bit into it.
Same here.
We were speculating as to whether or not you get to where the Sorting Hat puts you, and it's a very choose your own adventure with the way you respond to questions. But it's very
Yes.
user friendly. As long as you can read, you can really get through this. But
Yep.
spoiler, seriously, you get to choose your own house.
You literally do, though. Yeah. Like, it makes it seem like the Sorting Hat is going to pick it for you
Yep.
in some way, but there's only one question, and then
Mm-hmm.
you pick it. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I think
Well,
at
and
least the wand choosing was a little bit more
yes.
subtle.
Yeah, that was cool. I agree with that. But then, of course, my daughter took over my phone at that point in time, and she put me as a Gryffindor, and I've never been a Gryffindor on any planet, especially this one. So I felt
Oh
very
boy.
like, I mean, she
Like,
didn't even go
come
for
on.
Ravenclaw. I've always been a Hufflepuff, but she didn't
Yeah.
even put in a Ravenclaw. There's
I
no,
totally called it you would be a Hufflepuff, though.
yes, absolutely. But the thing is, now I'm playing as this Gryffindor character. And I'm just like,
No.
what? And then, you get to make up your own name too. So I made the name Lorna something. I gave it some kind of generic, like English name. And
Yeah.
of course so you get to name yourself and you get
Yep.
to make your own avatar. So you can make it more like yourself or you can be completely different, whatever you want to do. But of course she asked me, she's like, why Lorna? And I was like, I've always liked the name. I mean, second to Aurelia.
Right.
Why would I do anything else?
Exactly.
I'm not very far in the game though, but I'm like, yeah, I almost wish I could like delete it and then start it over and make the same character and just be a Hufflepuff instead. But then, so Fantastic Beasts also has a game that came out. It's Fantastic Beasts Cases from the Wizarding World. And I don't know if you've ever played or if any of the listeners have ever played Criminal Case on your phones. It was kind of graphic, but it had like this search and find, and
Oh.
you had to kind of like, I mean, it's kind of rudimentary, but you put together the clues so that you can catch the murderer or catch the thief or the whatever the crime is. So I did the first case, and my daughter really liked the Criminal Case game. She got so far in it on her iPad, and she started playing it on my phone and kept telling me how far behind I was. That's like the theme of this. It's how far behind I am. But the first one, you kind of like put together these clues to find out what Fantastic Beast is the culprit of the mayhem, whatever it may be. So they give you like, hints like they've got this beast has feathers and talons and lays eggs. And then you say, okay, well then it's got to be between, they give you like 3 different options. And then you say, okay, well, I have to match up these clues with whichever animal it could be, whichever Fantastic Beast. And then you get it right and you get more points and all that stuff. And you can still do more search and find.
Okay. So is
But
it
it's,
like you like find whatever little thing will light up when you tap on it or something?
yeah. If you wait long enough, it'll light up and show you like that's where the feather is, or that's
Gotcha.
where whatever you're looking for is. And so the search and find was really fun for my daughter back when she was playing that game.
Yeah.
And then there's been other games like that too, where it was like find the hidden picture. So, back when we were like doing highlights when we were young,
Oh,
or
yeah.
I vaguely remember like a Beauty and the Beast game where you had to find the hidden things. So
Oh, cool.
it's a very, it's a very known type of thing. Like you can just jump right into it and be playing it. So it's really, but it keeps Harry Potter in the forefront. When you think about it, we haven't had a whole lot, of that since Fantastic Beasts came out. So there's all these theories and stuff out there, which are really cool. If you want to fall into the Fantastic Beasts wormhole of spoilers and the different houses that are in the United States based off of, I mean, there's so much. I was listening to so much today, I couldn't even tell you. But it really comes down to like just how cool and how canon everything is for Fantastic Beasts and where it's going
Yeah.
with that, and
Oh, I'm
how
excited.
many. Yeah. So, and we have to wait a while for that, so we're not going to talk about it yet. But
Okay. Yep.
that one's
Cool.
the games were really cool that they came out recently, and that they are, you know, keeping our fandoms in our forefront. So even if you aren't rereading the books for the 8th time, or
Right.
trying to pick up a copy of Fantastic Beasts or whatever have you, or, you know, cosplaying as Newt Scamander, or whatever it is that you find that you like to do, that you can still keep these fandoms in the forefront of your mind by having, you know, the app on your phone and goofing around on that every once in a while.
Nice.
Um,
Super fun though. Like you know, like you said, just keep it in your brain,
mhm,
stay fresh on it, because then when a movie comes out, like the new Fantastic Beasts movie coming out later in November, that we'll get in more details on, probably in
mhm.
our October segment. Um, like yeah, we can. It'll be kind of up to date, and you won't have forgotten about the previous movie kind of deal.
Right.
So
Well, and when you think
yeah,
about it, there's so many Easter eggs, and there's so many little things that are in the books and in the movies that we miss if we're just watching it to watch it. You know, like there's all these theories about Infinity War right now, and how the
yeah,
casting, the way that they're filming things, and how there were people that were devastated by the end of Infinity War. Well,
mm-hmm.
there's all kinds of leaks and stuff going on right now where people are talking about things that they can see on the set, and people who are dressed in their old 1920s, 1940s, 1950s costumes, uniforms, whatever have you, and you know,
Oh,
different scenes that are going on. So, you know, people who are no longer necessarily in this particular installment of the MCU, but they're filming again right now in different, you know, like without giving out too much and without saying, because there's, you know, they're so locked down on the fake scripts for Infinity War, for Avengers, and
ugh.
so many different things. Um, but it's kind of like a big guessing game as to what's happening and what's going on, and, you know, all the
Mm-hmm.
different theories and different things, and you can just uh what's
I know,
canon
there's
and
so
what's not.
much.
And
Right, right. And we'll probably end up
speaking of which,
talking about some of those,
yes,
though,
oh my
like in our
goodness, I'm
next episodes or segments or whatever. If you guys have some
exactly.
favorite theories about Infinity War or anything like that along those lines, like let us know, because we can dig into it and let you know what we find out.
I never really thought of it before, but there's a thing that nerds like to do, where they like to sit down and talk about really strange sciency concepts when it comes to their shows and their fandoms. You
Oh
know,
yeah,
whether
totally.
whether or not Groot is being raised, nature versus nurture, that kind of stuff. Like when
Mm-hmm.
we all sit down and talk to each other, we like to theorize on the strangest things.
I know,
And
right? Like,
somebody coming into that kind of conversation and not knowing, you know, not knowing that that's what we're talking about, we could be looked at very strangely.
oh
Or
yeah,
you
oh
can,
yeah.
on the flip side, be like, oh, this is where my people have been. Where have they
Right?
been all my
Like
life?
applying total real world logic and
Yes.
natural law and everything to stuff that happens in our fandom areas and stuff, and like reasoning everything out. Oh,
Right.
it's so much
Right.
fun.
And it's just something that happens when you're with like-minded people.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
So going forward, upcoming movies, we're not going to go too far into the year of 2018. But there are a few upcoming movies, upcoming television shows that are coming up in the next month or so. So if you know, need to mark it off on your calendar, Deadpool 2 comes out today.
Hey, hey.
Some of us might have even been like sitting in line waiting for that to
I bet,
happen,
yeah.
overnight.
Maybe
Um,
you're listening to this while you're in line for Deadpool right now. I mean,
Right. And so don't tell us
props.
anything about it, because we're going to try and watch it, and we're going to try and do a show next week about it.
Yeah.
But that one is coming out, or is out now. And then the Han
Next
Solo
week.
movie, Solo, comes out next week, on May 25th. And I mean, I just even talking about these, I'm thinking, okay, what do I need to brush up on? What am I
Yeah.
behind on? Um, and Solo is going to be in the past, obviously, because we all know what ended up happening to Han Solo.
Yeah, exactly. But it's gonna be interesting. I love backstory. Like I'm a backstory
I love origin
junkie.
stories. Yeah,
Ah, so
yeah.
good. So I think I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
really enjoy Solo, even if I don't know, even if it's not what a lot of people are expecting to see. I think
Right,
I'm still really gonna
right.
love it just because I love backstory so much.
Well, and I remember growing up and seeing all those books, those Star Wars books of people who were writing. I don't want to call them fan fiction, but I kind of think that's what they were.
I think
Um,
they were, but George Lucas kind of said that whatever people wrote in those books are gonna be canon, just because he didn't want to have
okay.
to deal with it. I don't know.
So
I
do we
do
know,
believe that
is
those
Solo
books
going to
are
be canon or
canon.
no?
I have no idea.
Okay.
But we could ask our friends at Podcast a Star Wars Story because Danny
Yes.
and Ezekiel definitely know. So
Okay. Okay.
we'll
So
have
we got
to
to
we'll have
make
to get
sure
in
we,
touch.
yes, get some feedback from them.
Yeah.
The Incredibles 2 is coming out on the 15th of June. That's next month. Um, that's kind of like, the movie for us because we grew up with Incredibles.
Yes. Oh, I love Incredibles.
I'm
My
super
daughter loves it
excited. I'm,
too.
I'm seeing commercials, and trailers for it,
Yes.
and loving that they are in the same time period, that they're kind of just going forward with what we already know all of
Yeah,
our beloved characters to be
it
doing.
hasn't
Yeah,
been like a super long time from
exactly.
the last movie to this
Right.
one, which I like because otherwise it would be like too much time
Mm-hmm.
has passed. So I like this. I'm excited for it.
And then also Luke Cage season 2 is coming out in the middle of June as well. That's on Netflix. Jessica Jones just came out about a month and a half or so ago. And so Luke Cage is coming out next month. And,
Alrighty.
yeah, I'm working on it.
Okay. I
Um,
haven't been at all, so I'm not even up to date on Jessica Jones
I
or
know.
Luke
Oh,
Cage
that's my
at all.
thing. I know. Well, and that's just it. It's like, how do you pick? Anyway, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
this weekend also, starting today, Anime Central in Chicago is the Midwest's largest anime and manga convention. Um,
Oh boy.
uh, I personally didn't recognize any of the names except for the girl who does the dubbing voice of Sailor Moon, or one of the Sailor Scouts. She does the voice on the remakes of the television show. She has a real distinctive voice. She's so sweet. She went to Anime Milwaukee last year. Um, but she's the only name that I really saw, and her name escapes me right now. But Anime Central ASEN is this weekend. It has grown since 1998 from like 1,000 people going to it to over 30,000 now. So it's
Wow.
really like the largest convention. I know Anime Milwaukee just hit like the 10,000.
Okay.
So it's the big
Still.
anime convention. Yep.
Yeah.
And they've got a lot of really cool people, and that's in Chicago this weekend. And it's just really cool to see the different conventions that are going on, because growing up, we didn't really have that kind of thing to go my folks wouldn't have brought me anyway. They probably would have looked at me like I
Yeah.
was crazy, but it's really fun to, bring Aurelia. And for people who might not feel like they've got a whole lot of, like-minded individuals with them to be able to go and dress up. And, we had our episode about cosplaying
Yeah.
and how important that is for body image and for creativity, to know that you've got people who are just like you, the same kind of weird, the same kind of crazy, the same kind of weird as you are. So
Right.
it's cool to see those conventions popping up and having more people attending them, and for that to still be a thing, because we didn't really have that growing up. But it's really just fantastic to go to those events and to see people that you always see on the television screen, or people who have information to give, even writing comics or drawing pictures or putting together a costume, or how to cosplay for your body type, that kind of thing. It's really neat to see, and it's really
Yeah.
just exciting that those events happen.
Yeah, it's super cool. Speaking of other nerdy events, we have E3 coming up in June, the 12th to the 14th in LA. And there was this big headline about Walmart spoiling some game titles before E3 actually happened.
Oh.
Some game titles were leaked that were supposed to be released at E3, but Walmart in Canada apparently decided, or maybe it was an accident, I guess, I don't know, but they leaked some game titles that they weren't supposed to share. Some of them seemed legitimate, like Tom Clancy's The Division 2, Borderlands 3, a Final Fantasy 7 remake. Others seemed to not quite make sense, like Forza Horizon 5, because Forza Horizon 4 hasn't even come out yet, so that doesn't exactly make sense.
Huh.
So the leak itself is kind of a big deal, but also maybe not exactly reliable. But we do know that E3 is going to be releasing the official information on these games as well. So E3, if you don't know what it is it's the basically the big gaming, whether it's PC or console gaming, video game convention where a ton of releases about new games, console updates, all of that kind of stuff is going to be coming out. And so if you're going to that, fantastic. That's awesome. It's June 12th to the 14th. But if you want to watch the convention from the comfort of your own home, you can watch it on Twitch at twitch.tv/E3. And you can just tune in there and you can type that in on whatever browser and it'll bring you to E3's Twitch channel. And if you don't know what Twitch is, you should probably check it out because it's pretty cool. It's basically a place like YouTube, but where you watch people doing things live. So a lot of it is video game streaming, where people are live playing a video game, and you can basically search any video game under the sun, and you'll find somebody playing it somewhere in the world. But some of the most popular video games to be watched on Twitch are League of Legends, PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, also known as PUBG, Fortnite, and games like that. So MOBAs, multiplayer online battle arenas, which would be a game like League of Legends, or games like PUBG and Fortnite, which are called battle royale games, where it's basically the last man standing kind of game, where it's everybody for himself or herself, all battling it out, and whoever's last standing at the end is the winner, kind of like a Hunger Games sort of thing. And so everybody has to fight each other and the map changes as the game continues and that sort of deal. But there's a ton of other games that people will stream as well. And you can find basically streamers of any variety, really, which is really, really cool. So that's a little plug for Twitch there as well. But look out for the E3 stream on Twitch. That'll be streaming on June 12th through the 14th, and then pretty much all the times will be related to the Pacific time zone. Just keep that in mind if you're going to watch it from any other time zone, because it will likely happen later in the day than you expect it to if you're in America, because that's going to be a couple hours behind what your time zone is. I'm in Pacific time zone currently. So that, speaking of that, the ACE Comic Con is coming up in Seattle, June 22nd through the 24th. And this is like humongo because there are going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the Avengers in attendance. What?
Wow.
Yeah,
What?
6 of them. Plus a couple other actors and actresses, like the actress that played Peggy Carter will be there as well. So, yeah, this is big. We have Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans, Tom Hiddleston, who never does conventions, but he's coming to this one. Never does conventions from what I hear. So this is like humongous. Tom Holland, Elizabeth Olsen, and Paul Bettany all are going to be there. It's going to be amazing. But I was looking up pricing for this. The pricing to get into this convention isn't super bad. It's like, I don't know, 40 some per adult to just get there. But to get pictures with these guys is
It's
nuts.
probably astronomical.
It's ridiculously expensive, and I had no idea what to expect. But if you plan on spending like $1,000 for the weekend, you can get pictures with all of them.
Okay.
That's just a rounded off figure. Like, I think I saw if you want to get pictures with 3 of them, it's like $400 or something like that for just like to meet them and get a picture with them. So it's expensive to do this kind of stuff. My goodness. Like, I would love to go and, have a good time, but I don't have that kind of money right
Right.
now.
Well,
So, boy.
I would just be like in the same, giant expanse as them and be happy. Like, oh, I kind of am
Right?
sharing the same air, I guess.
Right? Exactly. Like, oh, I see them off in the distance with a crowd of like 18,000 people waiting to get their picture taken, and they spend I don't know how long in line,
Right. Oh, and
you
have you
know?
seen those lines? The lines are
Ugh.
astronomical too. They're always
Ugh.
even like I have no idea where these people like have the energy to wait in line to meet, but
Right?
man, they do and they love it and I am all for it. Like you guys.
Yeah, like do what you want to do, guys. That's awesome. I don't know if I could do that. Oh my
Uh,
goodness.
well, that's it. That's all we have for our nerdy news today. I want to say thank you for getting nerdy with us, and we want you to talk nerdy to us. What types of nerdy news would you like to hear about next month? Find Beauties and Headcanons on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr, and share your nerdy topic suggestions with us as well. Subscribe to this podcast and others from Public House Media on iTunes, Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and wherever good podcasts are found. Also, check out the our new show gear. We've been talking about that for a little while. It's on www.thephmedia.com. Beauties and Headcanons now has tons of show swag. You can get t-shirts and long sleeve shirts. There's a coffee mug and a phone case. You can drink coffee in that mug or any beverage you want. And, we just love feedback and we love to hear from you. So if you liked this episode or even if you didn't, please give us a rating, give us some info, give us some feedback and a review so that we can keep making great episodes for you. If there's any nerd news you'd like to talk about next month, please let us know. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Emily.
And thanks for getting nerdy with us today on Beauties and Headcanons.